First of all, thank you so much for your time, Alex.
Hello.
I got told you're the gameplay product lead of Set 10. Would you mind to explain a bit what that actually means?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I'm the product lead of all of our sets. So I oversee kind of like the holistic vision. So I oversee what design's working on, what the art looks like, what the engineerings are prioritizing. So yeah, just across the board, I'm kind of holding that North Star of like, this is what we're shipping and this is why. So yeah, and I do that for all the sets and also live balance and double up and hyper roll.
Damn, son, this kind of seems like a role that is kind of desirable for a lot of people. So, how did you actually get it?
Yeah, I was just very lucky. So before I was at Riot, I worked at another tech company. But then when COVID hit, I was just hit with like, I want to work on something I'm passionate about. And TFT is my favorite game. I've been playing since the beta. So the opportunity to work on the game that I love so much was just a dream come true. So yeah, a little bit of luck and maybe a little bit of skill.
It kind of seems like let's talk about Set 10 then, because I can imagine the expectations were a bit higher than normally because it's like an anniversary. So, did you have more resources than you normally do for a set?
Yeah, you are completely correct. Expectations were very high for set 10. And we had both more resources and more time. So set 10 is the first set that we got to work on for a full year ahead of time. So previously we would ship a set in about 8 to 9 months. So we had 3 extra months to work on it. So I think that kind of shone through with like the music system. Like there was so much that was just truly impossible to do from a tech perspective before. So yeah, those 3 extra months and a lot of new people that have joined the team over the past year and a half made a huge difference.
Yeah, we heard a bit about the hiring new people strategy, like having more people to work on it. This, on the one hand, seems like a great idea: more people, more power. But also, I think we all noticed if you have more people that are actually in the project, you also have to explain stuff that you maybe didn't have to explain before that. So, would you say that this actually was already helpful for Set 10, or would you say Set 10 was still on the learning curve with working with a stronger with a stronger team?
Yeah, I'd say a little bit of a mix. So I would say probably for the first 4-ish months, like you are completely correct. We were paying a huge onboarding cost of just, oh, we have all of these new people. Yes, they're really good and really excited, but like we have to teach them how to make TFT. But I would say like the latter, 6 to 7 months, it was just a really hard swing upward, and we were able to get so much done. And I think it paints a really good picture for the future of like set 11 and set 12. Now that we don't have to pay any of those onboarding costs, we just have people fully ramped up. Yeah, they are chomping at the bit and very excited to create some cool stuff in the future too.
I actually a bit worried to lose some of these people. I mean, actually, the industry isn't like highly competitive at the moment. There are more publishers that let people go than that actually hiring. But I mean, like if I would design a game, I would look around, and honestly, TFT seems like a good place to hire some people.
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. I'm sure that a lot of our people will get stolen away because they are very good. But on the plus side, I think what's healthier though is previously like that's just a normal part of like a career. Like you're gonna find new jobs and games you want to work on. But now that TFT is a little bit bigger, we're more stable across the board. So like previously, if we lost someone, we were losing a ton of like potential work. But now we have like people that can fill in the gaps, and it's not as painful. So yeah, I'm sure it will happen though.
Okay, thank you so much for that insight. Would you say, with the release coming up really soon, that you actually met the high expectations that you set for yourself and for the set 10?
I think we have so far. I think from a thematic point of view, like this is definitely the deepest we've ever hit. I think at the end of the day, like we need the scale of being on live to really know if we hit the balance mark. I've been really happy with what the team's done so far. We haven't fully transitioned into our new way of operating on the balance side, but I think where we're at right now, even compared to past PB cycles, we're in a pretty good spot. But we'll see once it goes live. But I would say from like the thematic side, like the fact that we were able to create like 6 plus new skins, yeah, I would say like that side of it, I'm extremely happy with. Yeah.
Yeah, it actually seems really, really fun and exciting. At the same time, you made some design choices. For example, in the last set, it was my feeling that the chase traits, like Noxus 9, Demacia 9, Slayer 6, I think it was really strong. I also casted the TFT Worlds, and damn son, I saw a lot of Demacia 9. So it felt like you guys decided to have that less. For example, Pentakill trade has most of its power in 5, I would say, because you get the RE effect. Everyone procs Pentakill nice to have. So would you say that this was a design choice by purpose, and are you a bit worried that this is a burden on the more casual players because they have to mix more traits into each other?
Yeah, I am like our hope is still you're able to go vertically or horizontally. So like we want to support both play styles pretty well. I would say the biggest pain of 9 was just the Earth Legend existing, made it way too easy to hit those chase traits. I think what we've seen on PB is that slowed down a bit, which is good. Like we want those highs to be high. Like when you hit KDA, you should get first or second, like 99% of the time. Like you should really do well in that game. But I think the other side of it too is like, we have certain headliner portals that offer like extra traits for both of their, or extra bonus points towards both of their traits to kind of encourage that more horizontal building. But at the same time, like there are casual players that want to load into a game and play KDA and they don't care anything else. They're just going to pick the pink pretty champions and that's all they're playing. And we want to support that as well. So we're gearing towards both paths being completely viable.
Okay, I personally had the feeling that the last set was really focused on making casual players happy. This was just like my feeling because of a legend like Twisted Fate, for example. Like, hey, here are items, don't fuck them up anymore. Have fun with that. Did that actually result in a higher player base? It was something that was often discussed in my community because they're actually really core, and they was like, oh, the set doesn't feel as complex as the sets before. Also, we had no skins, and a lot of them actually always hoped that this resulted in more people actually checking TFT out.
For sure it did. Yeah, 100%. So I would say the no skin part, it just makes it a lot easier to identify what that champion is. Like even though we added like the carousel inspect and the new champ inspect panel, like it is still really hard to tell between Zac and Zed. They just look so similar and those skin lines are just black. Whereas like with set 9, I think we did a really good job of having very distinct color palettes that really kind of separated them. And to your point, like Legends was a tale of two worlds, I would say. At the high end, Legends was pretty unhealthy because they were constantly min-maxing and trying to find out every single possible thing they could do to get a little smidge better. Whereas like on the more casual side, they loved it. They could just be like, oh, I love emblems, I'm playing Earth. Oh, I love perfect items, I'm playing TF. And that kind of paired out. We kind of pull apart high elo and low elo data. And it was very funny watching high elo like spike up on the Draven patch and then spike up on Earth. Whereas like low elo is just like Twisted Fate just across the board. Like they were just like, I'm a Twisted player. I want my items. So yeah, I think like, but also it speaks to like there will probably be a day where there's Legends 2.0, and it's like maybe we just have it even more geared towards that more casual side, and it's to the world of if you're a really engaged player, you just kind of go that Poro direction. But yeah, there's definitely a a very different world between high and low.
Yeah, definitely. I also saw the post because some of you guys actually posted that at some point. I think it was Motok actually because he posted a lot of graphs. But actually was kind of surprised as well. And kind of sad about my influence because I hoped a lot of more God player would pick Draven. But we are where we am. Would you agree with the statement that this set is less focused on the casual players? Because it seems rather complex, to be honest.
Yeah, I would say this set is pretty complex. I would say it's a little bit higher than we were initially wanting and something that I'm keeping a really close eye on with 11 and 12. But yeah, this one I'm expecting a lot of casual players to definitely try out. I think the music system is going to be hype, but I think it's also a very, very deep set, which may like shake a little bit of them away. But I think the players who stick around will have a very like long tail experience of like it's endless combinations. We did try to do a little bit of, we really kind of waned back the portal variants of just like, now you just get like an item or you get, extra health and kind of like toned that down. So there's still a little bit of variance without like, the Valor's Hollow of the world or the Sump or whatever. So, but yeah, I would say overall it's definitely more geared towards our engaged players.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Actually, this is the first set we will have without a mid set. Is there a chance that you will still rotate some champs out? For example, if some champion actually feels unhealthy for the game or something, would you actually do that at some capacity?
So probably not for set 10, but I will say we do have some things planned that I can't talk about yet to keep players engaged longer term. So keep an eye out. We have some really cool stuff coming down the line for the end of set 10.
Okay, are you a bit worried that playing the same, because we will play the same set effectively, I think 1 month longer than normally?
Yep.
Is this a problem? Are you a bit afraid about that?
So I think I would be afraid in the old world of TFT. So when I think of the old world of TFT, it is pretty much all we have going on is sets. Like that was it. That was all we really shipped. But now we have the world of we're doing more event modes and we have, different cosmetic beats. So I would say in the new world and what I know coming down the line is coming, I'm not as worried. There will be a lot for players to do in the coming year.
God bless. If we're talking about event modes, I know this is actually not something that you are in charge of or anything, but I'm a diehard Double Up fan.
Nice.
And it breaks my heart that we still have no custom lobbies. Do you have any explanations why this is not a priority? Because as a content creator, it feels like this would be the absolute dream. It could be tournaments with pro players and influencers, and they could play together. Could you explain why this is such a low priority, or at least it feels like it?
Yeah, of course. And yeah, this is under my scope entirely. So I'm happy to answer this. I am in charge of Double Up. So a lot of it is just a big tech investment on the mobile side. And building in mobile is really tough because it falls fully on TFT within Riot. Like League doesn't build on mobile. Lore is just a completely different world. So really anything you want to do on mobile is quite a heavy lift. And previously I've been prioritizing the team of let's just get into a stable state of shipping good sets. Once we have that foundation as a bigger team, then we can start prioritizing this other work. This is very high on my radar, to be honest with you. So, you know how Arena came out with League, if you're a League player at all, and they had that new mode, and it works very similarly to Double Up. So we can take a little bit of that technology on the PC side. So really, it just falls on us now to build the mobile component. And it's very high on my priority list. So I'm not going to say it's going to happen right away, but like I can assure you that Double Up is very high on my investment list.
Lovely to hear, because
Yep.
I think it's actually such a high potential. I actually played a huge amount of Arena as well, and the new mode that they play 8 players and then you just get a separate game mode. I
Yep.
think it's seems like a kind of like a smart solution for that. Let's maybe get a bit more into your personal opinions, because a lot of people actually ask like, what is your favorite unit on the new set, and which is your favorite trade? Because I can imagine you played even more than I did on the PBE already.
Oh yeah, I've been playing on the PB a ton, and I've been playing set 10 for about 5 months already.
Damn.
So I would say my favorite unit by far is Samira. I think she's just such a fun unit in the backline, like 3-starring her. Trait-wise, I really like Hyperpop. I think solely for the music. Like the trait itself is just kind of like whatever, but man, splashing in that music, it's too good. How could you not love it?
Honestly, hitting 6 on 7. What was I playing? I was actually playing. Oh, the one where you get you level with health. I actually forgot
Oh
the
yeah,
name.
yeah, yeah.
And I think it's actually really fun because the XP levels got dropped down, and it was like, is it strong? Is it weaker? But I only had like 3 seconds to decide, so I played it anyway. But hitting 6 and the rest of the time just chilling around was definitely one of my personal favorites so far. But if someone will start at 10 now, what would you suggest? Like an easy opening, because we talked about maybe a bit harder on the casual part. Punks, for example, as reroll trade actually is kind of tricky. I thought it would be an easy one, but people actually get kind of lost in the idea about re-rolling and getting damage. So what would be your suggesting playing if you're casual?
Yeah, I would say if you're a more casual player going into like, I would say grab a tanky headliner to stabilize your board. Just grab a random backliner. That should get you through the early game. KDA is made for new players. So like we have those hex patterns. We built them in a way of like, you should be able to build any type of board you want pretty easily and understand where to put your people. So KDA is always a good one. I would say I would agree with you. Punk is a little bit tricky. I think reroll comps overall are actually kind of tricky. They're not really new player friendly always. So yeah, I would say KDA or Pentakill. Just those verticals really are just the most straightforward way. Like Pentakill itself is very insulated. You have a built-in front line, you have built-in back line. So I think either of those two would be the safest bets.
Yeah, I can agree on that. At least Pentakill was when we played this. I think we played this 3 weeks before PBE, and Pentakill was damn strong still.
Oh, it was very busted at the time. Yes, I remember.
I was actually really happy because we only had 48 hours to do a video, and I was like, okay, what should I play? And then if something is busted, it makes it a lot easier for me. And Mordekaiser at the moment was kind of strong. One thing that was kind of high discussed in my community was infinite scaling champions. We had it with Nasus back in the days. Actually, Nasus didn't really care on that set, to be honest. But we got it back with Yazoo. And I think you already scoped down from 1.5 to 1.0. I think this was like the first attempt. But infinite scaling obviously has the tricks. What do you think personally about it? Would you say that this maybe was the wrong direction, or do you think it's more about balancing it out?
I think it's more about balancing it out. Like, I think the fail state is what we saw with Cho'Gath in set 9. Like, if you are seeing multiple players force it every game, that's not good. It should be more of, oh, this I got, Yasuo really early. I've been stacking it really quickly. That when the stars are kind of like aligning for you, then that's sick. We should have that fantasy in the game. Players love the infinite stacking fantasy. So I would be remiss. As a human, do I think it's the most like healthy thing in the game? Not really, but players like it, so it's like, it's fine.
Kind of have to make the best out of it.
Yep.
Let's talk a bit about the headliner effects, because I think we have some effects that are like damn cool. Like Mordekaiser, for example, is actually infinity scaling is kind of attractive. No, not gonna lie. But we have really special one, and then we have like Ari. Hey, 50 AP more. Like this obviously feels a bit unfair to some degree. Is this something that was just like, okay, we can't, we don't have the time to give every champion a really cool headliner effect, or is there another reason why you actually gave some boring ones out?
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit of time, and more so we didn't want to force it, right? Like, we didn't want to have to force and make sure every single one had a cool effect, because then if we were turning it around to, oh, we're now in the hero augment world, we have a lot to balance. And at the end of the day, it's much easier to give tailored stats and just say, hey, this guy is a little bit stronger, or Ari is a little bit stronger, instead of giving an entire new fantasy. But I am super happy we got in the Mordekaisers of the world, the Bards of the world. I think adding that's a little bit of flavor. It also helps, like, to a degree, with like the casual players, of like, they don't have to now understand that, oh my gosh, this champion now operates completely differently, and now I have to build them differently just because they're my headliner. So we kind of sprinkled it in, as like a, if you're playing that many games and you're really reading everything, it's a cool fantasy for you. But if you're also not that excited about it, you can just know, oh cool, I get more damage, easy.
Actually, one thing that came up from the community that I kind of liked was the idea that if we don't have a mid set and you can't rotate champions in, what you could do is actually switching headliner effects, because it feels like hero augments, right? So if you give Ari a hero augment like she double jumps or whatever, it actually will feel more or less like a new unit. This is something that maybe is on your radar, like, okay, we could do this at some point.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something we've talked about. I think something we've also done too is we haven't shipped all of our portals yet. So we're
Huh.
only shipping with some of our more like lower key portals. And as time goes on, we will add more of the explosive and game changing portals as well. So it's definitely something we're thinking about. So like, we will be adding content over time, but like, we want players to at least have the core of, here's set 10. It's a lot to digest. We'll add the rest later for people who have already understood the set, and now there's more stuff for them to look forward to.
Perfect. One last question that I have is actually the PBE itself, because as a content creator, obviously it more feels like a sprint now, because PBE opens and then you just have to record every video. And I have a lot of people in my community that kind of get scared away because they play PBE, but they expect that it's a game. Like, it's obviously for balancing reason. And so they play the set and they feel like, yeah, this set isn't good because it isn't balanced. And I'm like, guys, it's PBE. It's supposed to be unbalanced. Everything else would shock me personally. But is there a world where you would say that PBE is not healthy for TFT in general? And is there a chance that we actually get rid of it? I mean, you would have to playtest a hell of a lot more. But is this something that could be possible to some degree?
I don't think we'll ever get rid of PBE. So Mort and I have actually talked about this a lot, of how cool would it be if we just dropped a set and everyone got to experience it at the same time? Like, the idea of that is really cool, but the trade-off of scaled, like, understanding of the set is just way too hard to turn off. Like to your point of, we would have to playtest it so much more. There is no way we could playtest it enough to match the scale of PBE. Like, there's just like, the numbers are just too great. And not only on the balance side, but the bug side. Like, we want to ship a set that hopefully doesn't have as bug-free and exploit-free as possible. And without PBE, that's pretty impossible for us to do internally. Like, no matter how long we beat it up, like, we still have a very limited time. So we'll definitely always have a PB of some kind. It's I think it's just part of the TFT process at this point.
Is there actually maybe it was just an idea that I had a few weeks ago, like actually investing the time to get computers or AI good enough to play TFT, to just let them play the set beforehand and get the database? Is this a dream that is not possible because TFT is too complex, or is this something that you could imagine at some time into the future that this would actually maybe be a solution?
Yeah, so we have a tool similar to that internally. What's interesting though is you could run the simulation 100, 200, 1,000 times, but what's hard with TFT because it's so complex is maybe you move your carry to the other side of the board and that fight goes from 80-20 to 10-90, and all of a sudden you're losing every fight because of positioning. So we are actually working right now with a couple other internal teams to kind of like invest more in that tool and see what other types of outcomes we can get. But yeah, we definitely have that in our toolkit, but we need a little bit of finagling because TFT is just so freaking complex and every little piece changes drastically the output. So, but yeah, it's definitely something we want to invest in heavily and continuing our, yeah.
I'm looking forward to see a computer playing in the TFT finals and beat us all. I think this will be the future. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any last sentiments for set 10, if someone is still thinking about should I play it or not, what would be your reason to play the set?
Oh, it has to be the music. Like you have to check it out for the music. The audio team did an amazing job. Hopefully we'll have the tracks for people to have for themselves someday. But yeah, definitely come in, check out the music. And just thank you for playing TFT. We really appreciate everyone that plays and you know sticks with us through the hard balance patches. We promise we are working towards a very, very like long tail future for TFT. So thank you all so much. We really appreciate it. And thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate that you took the time for it. Thank you so much. And this was the interview. I hope you guys liked it. And we will see each other in set 10. Peace.